God damn. Sarajevo is a mad one. I love Sarajevo. I love this city. What a city. Look at this. I'll get a bit closer. I've never seen a house like that. No, I can't. There's a guy looking out the window. But yeah, you see the how shut up that house is. Madness. But anyway, I don't want to talk about that. The Bosnian Civil War. I want to talk about state. State. The importance of state. What is it? Why do you need to have it in control, in influence? So state is your emotional and physiological way of being in any given moment. Your emotional and physiological way of being any given moment. That is your state. Show me a man's state and I will show you his destiny. At least for that day. So, state is so important. So this is a relationship channel, so let's talk about cold approach to begin with. State for cold approach. What kind of state is optimal for cold approach? Well, think about it. What do we want to be? We want to be relaxed. We want to be seductive. We want to be playful. We might want to be a little bit edgy. We don't want to give them the old ojos de tigre, tiger eyes, right? So we want to be a little bit expressive or whatever you want to be. You know the state you want to be in, okay? When you're doing daytime approach, you're approaching that beautiful, sultry woman you see in the distance. You go over to her, you talk to her. My God, look at her. Her beautiful hair, incredible breasts, amazing ass. Oh my God. What a woman, right? You want to be in a certain state when you go over there. And ironically, most people are in the exact worst possible state when they go over to talk to these beautiful women. They're feeling extremely nervous, extremely self-conscious, extremely stressed, and they go over anyway. And they just force themselves through that. And actually, that is the default mode for, I'd say a lot of guys who do this, and entourage guys, and even myself at many times. You force it, right? You force the action. Christian's teaching is basically, you kind of act yourself into the right state. That's a good way to do things, and it does work. It definitely works. The longer the session goes on, the more you hit that right state where you're feeling yourself. Okay. But what if I told you there was a way for you to start the session in that exact space, in that exact state? Yeah, there actually is. It can be done. I've done it, so I know it can be done. Where you're in that right physiological space, you're feeling good, you're going over, you're feeling flirty. How do we do this? I use a sophisticated visualization technique which cost me £2,000 to get, and I got it from the best NLP practitioner in the world, in my opinion. I know Eric Bandler is not practicing anymore, but he's still alive. So that is a very interesting modality, neuro-linguistic programming. I'll just give you a little bit of a backdrop to what it is. Language is part of it. Language is part of it. Being careful about the language you use, and it's careful on a level you can't even imagine, because there are traps in language that you use. So for example, be brave, be bold. Go and be brave and do a brave approach. Well, in what situation do you need to be brave? In a dangerous one. So you're actually implying within your own language that this is a dangerous situation. How about go and give a friendly, interested approach to start with. That actually probably is going to be better than a so-called bold approach. Now actually what guys are doing is they're strong-arming their way through that internal resistance. But if you don't have that resistance to begin with, it's a lot easier. Performance is ability minus resistance. So even if you strong arm your way through, you're not going to be as good as you could be if you're in the right state. So language is one thing, aspect of neuro-linguistic programming, but there's so much more to it than that. There's actual visualization, where you're visually going into something using your imagination. There's imagining yourself in a certain emotional state. And actually, for me, that's the biggest one. Imagining yourself in a certain emotional state. And when you do that, what happens in the brain is the neural networks that are associated with relaxation, excitement, motivation, whatever it is, they fire up. So that neurology fires up, it gets going. Literally, your neurons move. Yeah, electric signals move into these areas. Okay, so it's a very, very powerful tool. It's one of those things that if everyone knew how powerful it was, my word, what a world we'd live in. So I'm spreading the gospel a little bit on this. NLP. Any Entourage guys, I'll put a link in the group. But for cold approach, man, if you work with a master practitioner, wow, the state you can get yourself into. I also want to point out a trap, quite a dangerous trap that I fall into, going through the strong arming it approach, which is what we've all done basically. What can happen with that strong arm approach? You go in to set, you're stressed out of your mind, but you go in anyway. Well done, pat on the back, soldier. You go into the next one, a bit less stress, pat on the back. You keep doing this. Let's say you do that every Saturday for a month. This is exactly what happened to me. I then go out on the Monday, and I'm solo in Latin America, and I'm just really pushing myself to do the approaches. And I then go out midweek one day, and I see a beautiful, attractive girl just walking towards me down the street. And all of a sudden, my heart starts to beat. I start to get like floods of chemicals. My arms, I'm like, oh my God, what? Fight or flight, what's going on? And I wasn't even out approaching. I just saw an attractive girl. And it was alarming, but what that told me was, I've done something to my nervous system. Because of my training with NLP and with the master practitioner that I've worked with, it cost me £2,000 to get the tool that I've got. Because of that training, I know what I've done. Nerves that fire together, wire together. I've created a neurological association in my brain between attractive women and a stressful situation, because approach solo is quite stressful. And you're doing sets of 10 and you're really pushing yourself. It got pretty stressful. So I realized, shit, I'm doing something wrong. I'm definitely doing something wrong. But fortunately for me, I've already got the tools to sort it out. So, I took the rest, definitely didn't approach for the rest of that week, during the week. And I just went back to my visualization, to my tools, and to getting myself in the right state, the Zen state. It wasn't actually so much Zen, it was more the things I mentioned earlier on. And so I started to go out more with that type of a mindset and that type of a physiological state. Now that does not mean we can influence our state, but it's not like a button you can push and control. You can influence it, you can get yourself in the right direction. If you're willing to go hard enough with it, if I'd done this technique for half an hour before going out, I probably could have got myself into the total perfect state But I just did 5 minutes, and it was enough so that there might have been a little frisson when I walked over, but it was pretty chill. And I got into enough of, I did enough of state work in advance of going out. And what I also found, as well as once I was in the set, everyone knows sometimes you get like a secondary bout of nervousness or something, because maybe you want the set to go a certain way, whatever. During the set, after opening, you know, you're conscious of your surroundings, whatever it is. And I also found that doing the pre-session visualizations and using my tool, that completely went away as well. And then I got to a point where I was like, man, I started to go out doing sessions, not all sessions, maybe just a 2-3 approaches in the evening, and I felt nothing for the first time. Full on daytime approach, it was dusk in the streets, I just felt nothing. I felt so chill, it was like as if I just had a massage and I was just going to speak to my girlfriend. She's already my girlfriend. It was mad, dude, it was mad. I remember some girls from Panama were like, where are you from? And I was like, I'm from England. And they were like, fucking hell, you've learned the ways, haven't you? That's interesting, because that girl was pretty keen as well. I was like, is that a negative? I don't know. But she wasn't expecting it from a European to be such a professional, you know, in the realms of Latino seduction. So the moral of this story, apart from self-aggrandizement, is just to emphasize the importance of being in a great state. And this applies for anything. Obviously, like if you go into the gym, I went to the gym earlier on today, and I did a little bit of state work before I went in. I thought I want to smash it today, which I did. And I was very focused in there. There was actually a couple of fit girls in there, but I was just like, not interested, don't want to know. I'm here to work. And I was in a highly motivated state. And so it's a great thing to do. Get yourself in the right state. Use whatever tools you have at your disposal. And think about as well, if you're going out doing cold approach, you don't want to be wiring in stress and associating stress with women. That's the opposite of what you want to be doing. And it is a risk. It's weird, because that's the risk that guys who actually take action can potentially, you know, they can actually have that situation. Whereas a guy who doesn't take any action, he doesn't, because he doesn't have any wiring as far as approach goes. Interesting. Was there anything else on this point here? Was there anything else at all? Oh yeah, last point on this. This is a great point. I'll finish on this question. Have you ever experienced anything outside of your own nervous system? Have you personally ever had a single experience outside of your own nervous system? Your nervous system being the brain, and then the dispersal of nerves through the entire body and so on. Have you had an experience outside of that? So the physical sensations you have, your visual, you know, you can see and so on. What about your emotions? And what about your emotions? Interesting, huh? Interesting. What are your emotions? Huh? Are they just neurons in the brain? Shit. They are as well, aren't they? Huh. Interesting. Are those things that we can influence? Well, tell me, have you ever changed state from one state to another? Have your emotions ever changed? So finish things there. The end of my lovely... I've actually walked further down the street here. See, this is the beauty of living in Bosnia. There are streets you could explore. You could go to the Majvek shop or the Knjizara, Knjizar. Don't know what that is, maybe kids shop or something, I don't know. You learn something every day. What a place. My God, I didn't realise my area had this nearby. Goodness me. The place that keeps on giving. Look at that Mercator as well. Right, we'll leave it there.